Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunakanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very warm welcome to all of you to our Sunday program. As you all know, we've been doing chapter by chapter, verse by verse series on Bhagavad Gita as it is. And we've reached up to text number 6 of chapter number 2 of Bhagavad Gita. So we will recite text number 6. Na chaitat vidamo kataranno gariyo Yadva jayema yadivano jayeyu Yane vahatva najijivid samas Te vyavastita pramukhidhat rashtraha Na chaitat vidamo kataranno gariyo Yadva jayema yadivano jayeyu Yane vahatva najijivi samas Tevya vastita pramukhe dhat rashtraha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live, yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Please repeat, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Purport: Arjuna did not know whether he should fight and risk unnecessary violence, although fighting is the duty of the Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain and live by begging. If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence. Nor was there certainty of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them and their cause was justified, still, if the sons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of defeat for them. All these considerations by Arjuna definitely proved that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. His desire to live by begging, although he was born in a royal household, is another sign of detachment. He was truly virtuous as this quality is combined with his faith in the words of instructions of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge, and without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation. Arjuna was competent in all these attributes over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships. So here we see that in the previous chapter, chapter number 1, Arjuna had given various reasons why he doesn't want to fight. What were the reasons? First reason he gives is on the basis of compassion. He was feeling compassionate towards his kinsman. So he said we should not fight. The second reason he gave was enjoyment. If I kill all these kinsmen, with whom will I enjoy? Third reason he gave was sinful reactions. If he killed all his kinsmen and relatives, great sin will come upon him and he will have to go to hell. And the fourth reason he gave was destruction of family dynasty. If he killed all these warriors, their wives will become widows, and because of that, unwanted progeny will come. And when there is unwanted progeny, even the ancestors will suffer. So Arjuna had considered all these aspects, and then there is a fifth reason as well, and that was indecision. So this particular verse of chapter 2 is describing that fifth reason. He is saying, let's read the translation again, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we killed the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. So here we can see that Arjuna, even though presented so many arguments based on Shastra, logic, reasoning, he is now confused. Totally confused. Arjuna has two options. Either to fight or not to fight. If he chooses not to fight, then the only option he has is to go to the forest and live by begging. That's all. But if he were to fight, then there are two possibilities. If he fights and wins, then he would have killed all his relatives and the victory would be tainted by the blood of his relatives. So with whom will he enjoy? And if he were to fight and lose, then he is losing his own life. So in every situation, he is just saying that this is a lose-lose situation. You don't fight, you lose. You fight, you lose. There is really nothing to gain in this entire idea of fighting. And that is why Arjuna was saying that Krishna, let us go home. This is not the place, we should not have this war. But Krishna, as we will see, will give very good arguments to counteract all these reasons that Arjuna has given. So one of the things that we see here is Arjuna has definitely proved that not only he is a great devotee of the Lord, he is also very enlightened. Because the arguments that he has presented in the chapter number 1, they are not ordinary. Only a very enlightened person can present all those arguments. And his other qualification is that his senses are fully under his control. And Srila Prabhupada writes here that it is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge. And without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance for liberation. So sense control and devotion is very, very important. So one of the things we see here is that Arjuna is confused, he doesn't know what to do. But what does he do? Although he is confused, he doesn't know what to do, he does one very intelligent thing. What does he do? He seeks guidance. He seeks guidance. So the lesson that we can learn is when we are looking around and we don't know what to do, then we should look upward and pray to God. And God will guide us. In the case of Arjuna, Lord Krishna was right in front of him. But for us, that is not the case. However, we still have access, and that is through Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. So when we are in situations where we are confused, we don't know what to do, then we should look up, pray to God, and take shelter of Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. And that will give us guidance, what to do. Another thing that we learn from this particular verse is, all this time, Arjuna had been advising God. Krishna, we should not do this, compassion, sinful reactions, destruction of dynasty, how can we fight? He's telling God what we should do, we should go home, we should not have this fight. But we don't realize that we may be advisors to God, but God has His own plan. We may advise God thinking we know better what God should do for us. But God has His own plans. So before hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna thought that he was the controller and Krishna was the cooperator. Krishna has to cooperate with Arjuna. That is what was his thinking before hearing Bhagavad Gita. But after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna understood that Krishna is the controller, I have to be the cooperator in his plan. So this is very important to understand. That Krishna, we may have our plans, but Krishna has his own plans. And believe it or not, his plans are always good. Always good for all living entities. So we should understand that we are not the controller, but we are cooperator with God. So as I said, Arjuna was confused and he looked for guidance. And so in the next verse we see how Arjuna is going to surrender to the Supreme Lord and is seeking guidance. So let us recite text number 7. This is a very important verse. It will be nice if you can all memorize this verse. Very famous verse. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava Prichami tvam dharma samudha cheta Yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me Sishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava Prichami tvam dharma samudha cheta Yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me Sishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and the soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this is a long purport. I am just going to read the first paragraph of the purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity. And therefore, it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in the material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. So this is a momentous shift in the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. All this while, Krishna and Arjuna are like friends. But here in this verse, Arjuna is accepting Krishna as his spiritual master. See, the talks between friends are like, you say something, I say something, I may accept what you say, I may not accept, this, that. But talks between Guru and Shishya is not like that. In fact, the talk between Guru and Shishya are very less. Guru says something, Shishya hears and accepts. And there is no question of not accepting or arguing. Guru says something, disciple accepts. And that is what Arjuna wants now. Because he is understanding that I am fully confused. I don't know what to do. And Srila Prabhupada is making a point here that perplexities are natural. It is going to come automatically. And we can see here that this, in one sense, is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. From this verse onwards, Bhagavad Gita begins, because from here, Krishna is going to speak. All this time, Arjuna was speaking and Krishna was hearing. Now Krishna will speak and Arjuna will hear. The Supreme Personality of God is going to speak. So this is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, in one sense. Prabhupada makes a point that material world by design is a place of perplexity. Every one of us have gone through some problems or are probably going through some problems. Right? Financial problem, emotional problem, stress problem, family problems, job problems, so many problems. And if some of us are here who have no such problems, we still have the problem of birth, death, old age and disease. And plus Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautiya Klesha, Adi Devika Klesha. So everybody is in perplexity. Nobody can say, Prabhu, I am quite happy. Everybody is in perplexity. And the nature of this perplexities is that they come automatically. Just like a forest fire. Nobody goes to set forest fire. Whenever forest fire takes place in Australia, people somehow or the other blame that somebody went and probably set some fire somewhere and that's why there was a forest fire. It may be true, may not be true, but here it is said that forest fire takes place on its own. So perplexity is also like that. No matter how much ever we try to solve, some way or the other, some problems will come. And to try to solve those problems, some problems are solvable, we can solve it. But some problems put us in real difficulties. Like Arjuna here, he is in such situation where he doesn't know what to do. To do this or to do this. To fight or not to fight. So there are certain times in person's life that he is not able to make a decision. And that's when Prabhupada says, it behooves one to have the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Knowledge of Shastra, reasoning and logic, all this is, in one sense, cannot help us solve the problems of life. Arjuna knew so many things, such an enlightened person. He was such a warrior. He had such good qualities. He knew Shastra. But now he's put in a situation where he is not able to solve his problem. And so he's approaching a bona fide spiritual master. So we have to understand that no matter how learned we may be, there will always be situations where we will really not know what to do, and we will need guidance, superior guidance. So this verse in one sense is encouraging every one of us to take shelter of spiritual master, which is basically taking shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. If you want to take shelter of Krishna, you have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. He is transparent representative. Arjuna was very fortunate that he had Krishna himself talking to him. But the same fortune can be had if one is fortunate enough to find a bona fide spiritual master who is a true, pure representative of Krishna. His words and Krishna's words, same. And if one is fortunate enough, then his life can become completely successful and he can get out of this world of perplexities. So because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Srila Prabhupada is one of those pure representatives of Krishna. And if he takes shelter of Srila Prabhupada in the form of his books, in the form of his disciples, then there is a very high chance that we can completely get rid of the perplexities of the world and eventually become liberated. So here there is a mention of word karpanya. What does karpanya mean? Miserliness. And he is saying miserliness also, the karpanya also means fault. The fault here is that Arjuna is a Kshatriya. And he is a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya's duty is to fight. But he doesn't want to fight. It is like, it is his nature to fight, and he doesn't want to fight. And he is realizing that that is a fault, because all this time he argued that we should not fight, but in the previous words he understood that if I fight, I am in problem. If I don't fight, I'm in a problem. That means there is some fault, and the fault is I am acting against my nature. My nature is to fight, and I am acting against that. And that is what is causing him to become miserliness. Karpanya dosho. Dosho is fault. So everybody has their swabhav, and swabhav is based on the body. And one must act according to one's swabhav. Like for example, a dog has its swabhav, has its nature. If you make a dog a king, will he act like a king? He's going to bark, that's all, because that's his nature. So one has to act according to one's swabhav. Then he or she will be happy. Arjuna is in this situation because he doesn't want to fight, when his nature is to fight. A Kshatriya, when they are challenged for a fight, they cannot refuse. They must accept the challenge and fight. And he is being challenged here from the Kaurava army, and he is refusing that. So he himself is feeling that prick. What I am doing is not right. So the lesson really that we can learn from this particular verse is that everybody needs a spiritual master. Nobody can say that I don't need a spiritual master. Everybody needs a spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master. There are so many gurus, and some are bogus also. So it doesn't mean that we just accept whoever we think is guru. There are certain criteria which identifies a bona fide spiritual master, a bona fide guru. We have to be careful of whom we accept as our guru. And to emphasize this point, even Krishna himself accepts a bona fide spiritual. Krishna himself accepts a spiritual master. It's very interesting. Vedas are the breathings of the Lord. Vedas come from the Supreme Lord. And that Supreme Lord accepts a spiritual master to learn Vedas. Is it not? Sandipani Muni. He goes to Sandipani Muni to learn the 64 sciences. when he himself is the absolute truth. So Sudama is actually saying that you are a form of absolute truth. You are the form of Vedas. From you Vedas comes, but you have accepted a spiritual master. This is very surprising to me. So if Krishna is accepting spiritual master, then we must. It's not an option. We must. And what is Arjuna doing? Arjuna is also demonstrating here the ideal qualifications or standard of who a disciple is. The standard of disciple is that he should approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. Which verse is this? Anybody knows? Approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. Tadvidi panipraptena pariprasnena sevaya pradekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So the disciple's duty is to approach a bona fide spiritual master and inquire from him submissively. Not in a challenging mood, submissively to understand the science of Krishna consciousness. And then whatever the answers the disciple gets, he applies them in his life. And through this way, he serves the spiritual master. So this is a way to accept a bona fide spiritual master and accept his guidance. When Arjuna is doing that, he is admitting that I don't know. So he's asking questions. He's going to accept the answers that Krishna is going to give. And then he says, Karishye vachanam tava. I'm going to do whatever you say. So now we'll go to the next verse and the last verse of this class. Text number 8. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudya yacho kamutsoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumam asapatna vriddham Rajyam suranam pichadipatnyam Nahi prapashyami mamapanudya Yacho kamutsoshanam indriyanam Avapya bhumam asapatna vriddham Rajyam suranam pichadipatnyam. Translation: I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So it's very interesting that Arjuna has surrendered to Lord Krishna in text number 7 in the previous text. Now, we would expect that Krishna will immediately accept him as his student, as his disciple, and start instructing him. Is it not? But it doesn't happen like that. Arjuna is saying that even if I were to win, so first he has accepted the spiritual master, and then he is saying, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth or sovereignty like that of demigods in heaven, still I will not be able to dispel. So, Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan, he says that Arjuna is saying, I am perplexed, confused, and I want to surrender unto you. Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan says, he is giving Krishna's reply. And Krishna is saying, you know Shastra, why not you use your logic and reasoning? So it's like, there's a conversation going on between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, Krishna, please accept me as your disciple. Now Krishna is saying, you know all the shastras, you have all your logic and reasoning, why do you need a spiritual master? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti extends this argument even further. He says, now Krishna is saying, I am your friend, I am not in mood of being a guru. So how can I accept you as my disciple? Because you have a respectful attitude towards Vyasadeva and others, why not go to them? Krishna is saying, I am your friend, I am not interested in becoming your spiritual master, and you have a respectful attitude towards Vyasadeva. Why don't you just accept Vyasadeva as your guru? Why are you accepting me as spiritual master? Ultimately, what Krishna is trying to say is, he wants Arjuna to say that, my dear Lord Krishna, it is only you can solve the problems of my life, that's all. There is nobody else who can help me. And this is the faith one must have from his own guru. That only you, my dear spiritual master, only you can solve my problem. Nobody else. You raise your hand?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, can you please help us to identify bona fide guru?
Well, first and foremost qualification of a bona fide guru is that he belongs to a bona fide disciplic succession. There are 4 sampradayas coming from Krishna. Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya and Sri Sampradaya. If a person is belonging to one of these bona fide sampradayas, then we can understand that he has the qualification, the basic qualification to be a guru. Then the second is, see, this itself will eliminate so many personalities. If you were to go, there are so many people who claim themselves as guru. But if you go and check which sampradaya they belong to, most of them don't belong to any sampradaya. They're self-made gurus. So first requirement is the person has to be part of a disciplic succession. Second is, whoever claims himself to be guru, he also must have a guru. Is it clear? If somebody says, I am a guru, I am a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, the first question we should ask is, who is your spiritual master? If he says, I don't have a spiritual master, then we know he is a bogus guru. So there is a second criteria. Guru must also have a guru. Even Krishna has a guru. That means every guru must have a guru. So this is second. Third is,
what was the first one again?
Bona fide sampradaya. Should belong to a bona fide sampradaya. Second is, he must also have a guru. Third is, his senses must be fully under his control. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udarupastha vegam. Etan vegan yogisha heta dhira, sarvam apima prithvim sasishyat. One whose speech, anger, all this, his senses are fully under his control. Basically, he is a Goswami.
Exactly.
He is a Goswami. Not by name. There are many by name also, Goswami. He is a Goswami in the sense his senses are fully under his control. Such a person is qualified to make disciples all over the world. This is Nectar of Instruction, text number 1. Fourth is, he has full knowledge of scriptures. He can defeat any opposing philosophies. Shabde paricha nishnatam brahma upashamashayam. He is fully well versed with scriptures. And he can defeat any opposing philosophies. He can, with Shastra, establish how devotional service to Lord Krishna is the topmost. He doesn't say, I am God, or you are God, or we are all God, and you should worship this. He will establish how Supreme Lord, because there are so many gods, there are so many demigods also, he will be able to establish very clearly how Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the topmost. And we all have to worship him. When you find such a person, you can accept him as your guru.
So third criteria is the one that is almost impossible to make. Goswami and Godas. Goswami is the one who has his mind and all the senses under his control.
Mm.
He can be guru.
Yeah.
Now, where do you find that person in this world?
They are very rare, but they are there.
Example.
There are many. Srila Prabhupada was one of them.
Yeah, he was there,
Yes.
but unfortunately,
He has his disciples also.
His disciple is also
So to accept a bona fide guru is not just a matter of, oh, this particular guru has thousands of disciples, let me accept him as guru. There are many bogus gurus also who have a very large following. So when a person is really interested in accepting a bona fide guru, he must do his research. He must find out all these criteria that I have given. He should find out, is this person whom I want to accept as my spiritual master ticking all these boxes or not? And then that guru will also test you as a disciple. It's not that you are going and checking out the guru. A bona fide guru also checks out the disciple, whether this person is actually fit to become my disciple or not. If you look at the lives of acharyas in the previous ages, they did not have many disciples. In fact, they did not want to take any disciples. They hardly had one or two. Because to become a guru is a big responsibility. And to become a disciple of a bona fide guru is also a big responsibility. It is not a, now I have a name, Prabhu. From Das I become a Prabhu. It's a matter of completely dedicating, surrendering one's life to that bona fide guru and taking his guidance. So, but they are there, I can tell you that. It's not that, it is very rare. Mahatma Sudurlabha, Krishna also says, such a Mahatma is very rare, but they are there. Because if no Mahatma was there, then the whole point of material creation has no point, right? The whole idea of creation is to deliver the conditioned souls from this world and take them back home, back to Godhead. And who can do that? Krishna or his pure representatives. So pure representatives' presence is absolutely necessary in this material world. Without that, the whole purpose is lost. So they are there, but they are very rare. And one has to be very fortunate to come in contact with such personalities. And we are such fortunate people, if you look at it. Because only a bona fide guru will tell you who a bona fide guru is. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's statement. So all these criteria that I have mentioned, how do I know? Because a bona fide guru has taught that this is how you know who is bona fide and who is not. Does it make sense? Okay, anybody else? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, just a point about, you mentioned in earlier, the earlier acharyas didn't have many disciples, that's very true. You're going to probably give us one or two reasons why, but I can, because of the experience with ISKCON, I can say why we have multiple gurus
Yes.
and thousands of disciples. It's simply because this ISKCON movement is a preaching movement.
Yeah.
So we carry on preaching and we make more disciples learn about Krishna. So it's not a big formula that we have for anything else. All we're doing is introducing the lost souls back to Krishna. That's
Correct.
all we're doing.
So a devotee becomes a bona fide spiritual master under the order of a bona fide spiritual master. It's not that somebody is just self-appointed guru. He has the instruction from his guru to become a guru. So in our case, Srila Prabhupada instructed his disciples to make disciples. Not one or two, make as many as you can, because we want to deliver all these conditioned souls. We want to connect them to bona fide spiritual, bona fide sampradaya. So it depends from gurus to gurus, from acharyas to acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is very merciful, and he wanted He himself made many disciples, and he instructed his disciples also to make many disciples. And that is what they're doing. So there's nothing wrong in that. Because they are simply following the instruction of Srila Prabhupada.
Just last and final. I don't know, I'm a little confused with all this discussion in bona fide guru. My last question is, the sun, as we call it, is a demigod.
Who?
Sun.
Sun.
Would you consider that as a bona fide guru? And can be accepted?
Sun.
Yeah.
Sun God. you mean?
Yeah, demigod sun.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Krishna himself says that I spoke this Bhagavad Gita first to Lord Vivaswan.
Exactly, then all the questions answered. Thank you.
Yeah. But I would also say, we can definitely accept Sun as our spiritual master, but Shastra also says that we need a living spiritual master. He has to be present because he has to monitor us. Right? So, someone who is present is also very much required. Otherwise, I can say, well, I don't need any spiritual master. I'll just accept Krishna as my spiritual master, just as Arjuna did. Why go here and there? Why straight go to Supreme Lord? Why even Sun God? Let me just go straight to Krishna, who is the source of everything. But Krishna himself says that you have to have a living guru. And when that living guru departs, then still the guidance doesn't stop. We still take guidance from other devotees. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.